There's something changing in the air right now. It's like we're repeating history as we see it unfold before our eyes. History's doomed to repeat itself if we're not learned from it. And I'm starting to see bits of that, fragments of that being shown right now. Oh, this is Tom, Omega. This is the INFJ experience. And I'm just going to talk a little ad-lib today about that. This is just the way I'm seeing the world and what's going on with my world right now. Now, part of you might say, Tom, you're just hiding your head in the sand right now. You're just you're just escaping the world. You're in your bubble. You don't want to face it. Somebody might see it that way because what I'm about to tell you is the fact that, yes, as you know, I'm a loner, and I make no bones about that. I just happen to have the affliction of the INFJ personality type, so it's kind of in my nature anyway. And I'm sure you all know what that means, people. You know exactly what that means to have this personality, okay? But I think that's a benefit. I think that can be a plus in some ways. Now, the only way I can find peace right now and happiness right now is finding solitude. I feel very content. And it seems as though a lot of people out there in the world are starting to get back to the roots of their inner core. I think we're almost being forced, in a sense. And I'm not just talking about INFJs. I'm not just talking about introverted intuitives. It could be a lot of different types. Although it's a good possibility that mostly your introverted types especially are the ones that are starting to opt out of society in so many ways. You hear a lot about that in certain videos. Sometimes you hear statistics on the news that there's a shift, especially in relationships and marriages. You hear about marriages starting to drop. You hear about relationships not holding on, because there's so many demands now from one side. They want a certain thing. It's all about them. They're not willing to bend and make the other side any better. You're kind of left in a corner. You're kind of painted into a corner where you have nowhere to go except inward. It's almost like society itself is turning us inward. Some of us, a select part of us. Now listen, I'm sure there's plenty of people living their life, and these are the ones seeking validation, seeking approval from everybody around them. Yeah? And the ones that are willing to get into friendships, relationships, situationships, just for the whole idea of, because they need it. They need the thrill. They need the excitement. They need the love in their heart to be filled. But at a cost. This transactional economy right now, it's at a cost. Because it seems as though friendship, relationships, everything is transactional. Nobody likes anybody just because they like you anymore. There's got to be some kind of trade-off, and it's usually monetarily. Usually in what you can get from somebody, what they can extract from you. And then they'll like you. And when you stop giving that, they go away. Used to be, there was a day and age, people liked you just for being you, because they liked your conversation. They liked hanging out with you just because you were interesting. You were cool. You were smart, quirky, funny. Yeah, nowadays it's not like that. No. It's all about what you can give to them. And so many times, they're unwilling to give back. So what happens? You're painted into a corner. You're painted into a situation where it's more of a headache to go ahead and to pursue. It's more of a headache to go out there and look for love, validation, friendships, companionship, whatever it might be. It's more of it's more of a nuisance. And it's costing you. So it's like it's forcing people to start going inward. In a way, it's a saving grace because society has, in a way, overplayed its hand. For decades now, for half a century, give or take, it has been happening. You've been seeing a slow cultural shift go on, slowly, incrementally, and generations as they are being more generations that are being born and other ones are passing on. You see the whole shift going on that way. But things have been overplayed. Hands have been overplayed. Okay? And now it seems to a point where, You hear about a lot of, especially men, young men, middle-aged men, even just men in general, divorced men. And I'm sure there's a good share of women too. It's not just men, but you see a lot of people just disconnecting from the world, it seems. And they're being basically pushed into their own world. Yeah. So you hear about that. Now you hear about the birth rates going down. You hear about marriages are going down. But then, of course, you hear about divorces are on the rise. Hey, I'm one of them. I'm married and divorced myself. So it is what it is. But my point is, it's like, I believe that society is correcting itself in its own way. If people are being pushed inward, if people are pushed more inward and they're becoming more introspective and they're starting to turn to God, let's say, they're starting to turn to spirituality. They're starting to look within themselves for answers and rely on themselves and be content within their heart. This is a cultural shift because it seems as though we've been molded through cultural conditioning all of our life to think that the only way you derive any kind of happiness is the whole idea that you get married and you just have a family and you have children, grandchildren, and you provide for them and you give your heart to them. When that seems beautiful and wonderful because that's what everybody dreams for, but a part of that is just a whole conditioning. It's a whole conditioning just to keep you needing, keep you wanted, keeping you dependent on your own invalidity and having to spend for it, having to give for it, having to give your hard-earned dollar for that, okay? Just to have it, because everything's not just given for free. So my point is that it's like we're actually at a fault now. Part of me senses a boiling point in the world. There's a tension in the world. But another part of me sees that there's an underlying current as well where people are instinctively escaping this undercurrent. They feel the tension too. Masses of people right now, men and women right now, especially guys. I hear a lot about these stories about men just checking out of society. Because, they've been told that they're basically like villains all their life. They're painted as oppressors and they're violent and they're bad fathers and they're just, so they're painted that way. So guys say, well, what's the point then? If I'm hated by a society that I'm supposed to contribute to, I'm not going to be part of it. I'm going to be alone. I'll stay to myself. I'll stay home. I'll work on my cars. I'll make YouTube videos. I'll go hunting. I'll go fishing. I'll go hiking, whatever it might be. You're just going to go because you want to get away from the world in a way. But you see, this is the world correcting itself. This is human nature actually starting to unfold itself. Now, if this trend continues, we're gonna see some collateral damage. We may see populations diminish a bit. We'll see marriages diminish. We'll see relationships and friendships start to dry up. But it may take another 50 years. It may take generations. It may be long after I'm gone that the heart of humanity changes again, that it starts to rebuild, that the ashes will only bring forth new growth within a culture, within the society. So we're laying the seeds down right now. Yeah, so I see that as a positive. So INFJs, I think, other introverted intuitives, we have it's almost like we're being followed without even knowing it. Now, if there are extroverted types, if there are masses of people that have nowhere to go, but just to go inward and introspect, then that's actually part of their own reverting to an introverted point, no matter who they might be, okay? So they reflect inward. So they have that introspection, like I've said before, and that's a healing process. Because believe it or not, introspection and people spending time with themselves, spending time with their thoughts, spending time within themselves is actually very therapeutic. It's because you're facing yourself, you're looking at yourself, you're contemplating things without the outside world swaying you influencing you, constantly talking in your ear. And being that we have proclivities to authenticate, truly, that's a part of it too. The human being has the proclivity to want to find their true selves. Now, this is a natural calling, and we've been conditioned out of it. And the conditioning away from that is at an all-time high. We can see what culture has done to the mind of people and how far it's put us into molding us and creating us into thinking the way they want us to think, which is completely inauthenticating an entire culture massively. Okay? So where else do you go? Except for the mass exodus. Now, this mass exodus is not literally leaving a country with cars and carts and taking your furniture to another country. None of that. It's a mass exodus of the soul. It's people deciding just to stay confined within themselves, not to trust, not to need, not to depend on anything, not to reach out, and just to ignore the whole murmurs of that they're bitter and depressed people, that there's something wrong with them for doing that. The gaslighting that says that there's something crazy about that whole idea of doing that. No, we're ignoring this, ignoring it for a better health. In fact, in some ways, we're just turning off the noise. Personally, I don't listen to the radio. I haven't watched regular TV, and I don't know how long. Now, yes, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, ones that appeal to me. Yeah, I do. I'll go on. I mean, here I am on YouTube, so naturally I gravitate more toward YouTube. Not everything on YouTube I agree with, but it's got everything. So yeah, I get some of my information, some of my insights from YouTube. Okay, that's my source. And I contribute to it in its own way as well. But I guess that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to make it the point that culture is starting to heal itself. And what really is going to heal the culture right now is that people start looking within themselves again. They start finding that quiet solitude. They start meditating again, finding their center core. And we're being forced into that because of the way culture has so shifted in one direction. So these are some of the positives I see. But the process in order to clean that out, it may seem as though there's going to be some devastation in the short term as things change. But it will eventually work itself out. And it's going to take a long time to do so. Okay? Now, there's so much more I could say right now. There's so much more I could talk about. But these are some of the basic things I just wanted to touch on right here, people. This is just what I'm thinking right now. So, as much as this is being painted as a bad thing, I'm talking about this whole people checking out from society, checking out from the whole culture. It's not a bad thing. It's healing. Okay? That's my take on it. All right. I know I rambled on a little bit, people. Well, thank you for stopping by again today. And please leave your comments, leave your thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you like this content, please, people. And until the next time, and there will be a next time, people, have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again.